Hello, I am back with my latest reading wrap-up, this time for the month of November. I read 3 books this month. 2 of the books I read I thought had a lot of potential to be really good, but unfortunately they didn't quite live up to my lofty standards. The first book I read was My Name is Lucy Barton by Elizabeth Strout. I've been meaning to read this for a while, and I thought I'd pick it up this month because it was my birthday and my name is Lucy, so there is a very tenuous connection there. This was a tiny book, but sadly I found it kind of a struggle to get through. It is about a woman called Lucy Barton. She is reminiscing about when she spent a significant period of time in a hospital recovering from an operation, and her mother, who she hadn't spoken to in years, comes to visit her. She also reminisces about her childhood and about her life in New York with her children and her husband. This felt to me like it should have been a really personal and intimate look at a woman's life, especially as it talks a lot about her struggles growing up in a poor family in Illinois. It talks about her difficulties in relating to her family, talks about difficulties with her husband and her feelings on being a mother, and also her desires of wanting to be a writer. However, I found a lot of this book to be weirdly cliche. A lot of the things she was saying felt very broad and like I'd read them before, and I found this kind of weird as it felt like the book ought to have been really personal and to have had some really unique and individual insights into Lucy Barton's life. I know this one had a lot of hype and was nominated for the Man Booker Prize. Unfortunately, I couldn't quite see where all the hype is coming from. I then read Turtles All the Way Down by John Green. This is about a girl called Aza, or Aza, I'm not sure how you say her name. Aza is dealing with a lot in terms of her mental health. She has spiraling thoughts. For example, thoughts that she has a lot are about bacteria, and she starts to get in sort of spiral panics about all this bacteria living inside her and whether she's really a person or not, because really the bacteria controls us all. And then also while this is happening, she is hanging out with her best friend Daisy, who loves to write Star Wars fanfiction, and she's also trying to solve the mysterious disappearance of a millionaire whose son Davis she knows from a camp she went to for children who have lost parents. Davis's mum died and Aza's dad died. I really enjoyed this at first. I thought the character of Aza was someone I hadn't read about before, and I really enjoyed her point of view, and I've read a lot of reviews to say that it's a really accurate portrayal of someone who has this kind of mental disorder. I really enjoyed her relationship with Daisy. It felt really natural and it was really entertaining, and Daisy was a really great character. The bits I found less engaging were about the rich millionaire and the scenes with Davis in them. I feel like having a really rich character is such an American trait in teenage stories, and I never find it very realistic. I just found Davis to be very much a cardboard cutout of a person, and the whole plot of his father disappearing felt like a weird distraction from the main story, which was Aza herself. And by the end of the book, I felt that it lost steam a little bit, it got a bit repetitive, and it didn't feel like John Green had enough story to fill up the whole book. I think I would have enjoyed it a lot more if he just stuck to Aza and her struggles with growing up and being a teenager and her friendships at school. Lastly, I finished The Book of Dust by Phillip Pullman. Although I asked for this for my birthday, I was not expecting a lot from this book just because I'm not a fan of prequels, but sadly I was kind of more disappointed by it than I thought I would be. I thought I would race through this book despite it being massive. Phillip Pullman's writing in his previous books has always been really easy and engaging to read, and really good writing, but it felt like he'd lost all of his spark. Like, it felt like a Phillip Pullman book, but almost like someone who wasn't Phillip Pullman was trying to write a Phillip Pullman book. I just found it a bit of a slog. It felt like there was no spark or imagination to anything he was writing. It was almost like he was going through the motions of, this is the world, here are the demons, here are the evil religious people, and here are the good people from Jordan and Lord Asriel. This book could easily have been edited down. There are kind of 2 sections to it, the before the flood and the after the flood, and both these sections had their moments, but it felt like these moments happened over and over again. I think this wasn't helped by the 2 main characters, Malcolm and Alice, not being particularly interesting, and I found them to be too much gender stereotypes. It really annoyed me the bits where Alice gets tempted by, firstly by a man, and secondly by a fairy, because they tell her she's pretty and she's never been told she was pretty in her life. It's just such a gender cliche and felt like such a lazy plot device. I'm still curious to see what the next books will be in this new trilogy, because I know they're set after the original trilogy, which will be a lot more interesting. So those 3 reviews make it sound like I've had a really horrible reading month. It actually hasn't been too bad, because I have, in between reading those, been reading this book, which I found from a secondhand bookstore by an Australian author, so I'm about halfway through this, so I'll be able to give a proper review of it next month. So that is all that I've been reading in November. Please let me know if you've read Turtles All the Way Down or The Book of Dust, and let me know your thoughts on it. I'm really curious to see, especially The Book of Dust, what other Phillip Pullman fans think. Hope you're having a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Bye!